Hello, this is Cadoink,
And this is NickTheGreek.
and this is
TeamCraft.
Yeah. So today we have 4 players spawning on Lunar Colony 5. This is a 2v2 map, and we're going to go ahead and introduce the players for you guys today.
We have up as the red Terran, we have Cadoink. Down as the blue Zerg, we have NickTheGreek. As the purple Terran, we have SPEEDMAN. And as teal, we have Rafito.
Rafito, that's very exotic. So we do have a TZvTT. Whoa.
That was fast.
Yeah, 2 Terrans versus a Terran and a Zerg.
What that means, Bio Ball.
And that means...
Banelings.
Yeah, we're going to see lots of banelings today. We're going to see lots of bio balls. And a lot of dying bio balls, hopefully. Yeah, so this is Lunar Colony 5. We see that it is a shared spawn position. Good for Terran team, not so good for Terran Zerg, as the creep kind of gets in my way. But you know what? I love Nick, so I let it slide a little bit. And what's neat about this map is nothing.
Well, there are the other base type objects. It's 4 bases and no high yield. So that's a little different.
Yeah, I got to admit, in the middle of that sentence, I thought this was another map, and I was going to talk about a feature that isn't actually on this map. So I will talk about what is on this map. We do see a natural here for either player. Since Zerg tends to take their natural a little sooner, I usually get Nick to take it. Whereas right here is kind of the most practical place for another base for potentially Cadoink.
So you were talking about some creep earlier. Now out of that natural is where NickTheGreek should run his creep as opposed to out of his main, so that way Cadoink has plenty of room to spread out and build. Not that he has to build around his base necessarily, whereas NickTheGreek is limited by his creep, but that's okay.
Exactly, and if there's any kind of silly Reaper play going on or early aggression, I'll be able to kind of come in and help him, as opposed to him really needing that connection between the main and his natural expansion. In SPEEDMAN and Rafito's base, we do see a wall off for the Terran players, 2 barracks, as well as another on the way for Rafito. While SPEEDMAN is not building a second barracks, he might be going for a factory play or some sort of early expand. And wow, we even see a 3rd barracks for Rafito at this time, as well as a Reaper, just like I was saying before, any silly Reaper play going on.
Yeah, in the beginning of in the early part of a 2v2 game, it really sets the mood for what's going to happen. If you see a lot of the time, what you see is when you have your units built up, it's going to play out over the course of the game as to be the same kind of unit mix a lot of the time. Generally, there's not a whole lot of serious mixing up of the armies unless you're, teching upwards.
Yeah, we see a bunker going down for SPEEDMAN at this time, as well as a very fast command center for SPEEDMAN. It's going to be taking most likely this expansion as he is building it here. However, he might fly it over there, but that would probably be a longer distance. It might not be as good, but it would be more defendable, so that's kind of up to his discretion. We do see quite a bit of Zerglings going on for NickTheGreek right now. Probably going to be gearing up to make a baneling nest and morph them into banelings so they can take down this wall, as well as any kind of Marine Marauder ball that they see.
Now the wall is probably a good move, especially when you see a Zerg. You want to prevent, in case they try any quick rush maneuvers. Zerg, they like to do the little quickie rushy things, and ooh.
Yeah, we do see 3 Reapers on the field for Rafito, as well as 2 more on the way. He is building them 2 at a time with his 2 barracks with tech labs on it. He's going to be able to run in, jump up these cliffs, and pick off workers if possible. And now we even have them coming out 3 at a time. So
that'd be a really nice little play going up there, kind of taking little edges off the econ, especially in the first 5 to 7 minutes of a game. If you take a little edge off that econ, you can really damage what a player is capable of later on.
Yeah, and it's very important to kill workers at any stage of the game, especially early on. But we do see quite a bit of Zerglings as well as quite a bit of Marines for Cadoink and NickTheGreek, and we even see a siege tank and siege mode coming out for Cadoink. So they will be able to pick off this kind of Reaper play. It's kind of the longer he waits, the less effective it's going to be unless he's able to catch Cadoink and NickTheGreek's army off guard, whereas they might be attacking the front. That would be a perfect time for him to run in, jump up the cliff with his Reapers, and pick off as many workers as possible.
And now, if Cadoink decides to go for more of a defensive tactic, he'll probably siege that tank in order to prevent anything, and he'll unsiege it right before he's about to move out. You never want to leave a tank just chilling out unsieged if you have siege available.
That's true, unless you're moving your tanks around it, it's not very practical, that's very right. But in this situation it might work out in their favor, seeing as there are a lot of Reapers coming on the field, and tanks are surprisingly very effective against Reapers, killing them in a few shots. And here comes the Reapers. They might pick off some of these drones, and they are going to do that, killing them in one shot. They're going to kill this queen off very quickly, as well as these drones. He needs to run them away, and here comes the Zerglings and Marines, as well as the siege tank to try to pick off these Reapers. He really needs to run them away, which he is doing right now, but not before losing a few of them in the process.
Now, what happened right now is NickTheGreek saw that, oh crap, his queen is gone, so he's going to immediately try to build another queen if he has the minerals for that, so he can try to minimize the damage and the lost larva from that.
Yeah, it might even be beneficial for him to build two now that he sees Reapers, so that way he has a little bit of extra defense at home, and it'll allow him to increase his creep spread a little more. But now that Cadoink and NickTheGreek have seen Reapers on the field, they know that the two Terran players they're facing aren't going to have that much in the way of units back at their base. In fact, we only see one siege tank, as well as not a lot of units for Rafito at this time, so they are going to poke in and try to do some pushing if they can.
Generally, after a small push, if you see a small push kind of early on in the game, that means, uh-oh, they didn't have a whole lot of units. So if you defend against it, have a nice little sizable army, and you feel fairly safe defensively, you might want to run it up there and do a little damage, harass them. You can generally get a little bit of an advantage if you do that.
Yeah, and here comes the attack by Cadoink and NickTheGreek. He is sieging up his tank, and he is going to lose it to this other tank. The high ground is really a huge advantage at this time, and we did see an expansion going down for Cadoink that was taken out by these Reapers that are now in his mineral line and destroying his SCVs. Very smart by Cadoink running them away. He needs to really move some units in to take out these Reapers once and for all before he loses some supply depots, as well as maybe even a barracks or his refinery, which would be really obnoxious for him. But most of his units are caught off guard, and he's running his Zerglings in. NickTheGreek really needs to get his Zergling speed up. However, he is getting Mutilus on the field, which is absolutely fantastic. He's going to be able to run in from behind, seeing as that wall is just it's too much to break, and the Reapers do go down to Nick's Zerglings.
The Mutalists are really great with that splash damage against some of those miners and workers. You can really do some serious damage to a large set and really wreck an econ.
Yeah, and we do see a base like this that's very overly saturated will just get chewed up by Mutalists with the splash. As both bases are oversaturated, neither have an expansion. SPEEDMAN just taking his first expansion right now while moving out with these Marines and the tanks. I really like this play by SPEEDMAN, expanding while moving out to keep his expansion safe and making sure he has a nice tank lineup, as well as waiting for his Marauder buddies so they can do a push.
Yep, and you can see some nice creep spread on the part of NickTheGreek, trying to make sure they have as much vision as possible and be able to move out those units quickly because he did not get Zergling speed as quickly as he wanted.
Yeah, they're going to be able to see the center of that map, and we do see right now the Mutalists on the field. They're going to be poking around, seeing what kind of damage they can do in the back of SPEEDMAN's natural as well as Rafito's base. But at the same time, Rafito and SPEEDMAN are moving out, and he does have a medevac. He might even be able to pick some up and drop them in the back of our base, which would be really annoying. And we do see the Mutalists on the field right now taking out some of the SCVs for SPEEDMAN, effectively shutting down this natural. But at the same time, this big scary army is coming, and there's not much in the way. Cadoink siege tanks are not sieged up, which is very not smart by him, just sieging them now. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of units on the field, and the siege tanks are finally sieged and doing a lot of damage. They're going to be able to pick off these tanks, but there's just too many units on the field, and Cadoink and NickTheGreek are going to be in a lot of trouble here if they aren't able to pick it up, even sieging a tank up on this high ground as well as another tank. But my goodness, look at all the Marauders as well as this Marine and these medevacs filling him up. They don't have any units right now. He really needs to run his Mutalists wherever they are back to take out these Marauders, and the Marauders cannot shoot up.
Yep, those Mutalists are still taking out some econs and really wrecking up and doing some serious damage, really preventing anything. So right now we're kind of doing a little bit of a minor base trade. It's not a serious base trade because there's not a whole lot of units on the field, but there is enough to where they're kind of wrecking us in general, whereas we are just destroying their econ, and hopefully, as you will see, that should play out well for our team in the later game.
Yes, in the later game. However, if I lose all these tech structures, I won't be able to build any more units to prevent a counterattack. And we do see the Mutalists are still trying to poke around, but by this time, a lot of turrets and Marines are built for the 2 Terran players, so they really need to run down right now and destroy these Marauders. And we do see SCVs running away, as well as this command center lifting up, as well as this barracks, because this is just too many Marauders in the field at this time. And these Zerglings, they might not be enough, especially with these medevacs healing these Marauders. And sure enough, the Zerglings do go down to the Marauders, and they are going to be able to pick off this engineering bay. But just in the nick of time, here comes a bunch of Mutalists to pick off the rest of these. However, Rafito was able to do a huge amount of damage to Cadouink's base.
But even though he did all that damage, NickTheGreek did expand again. Now he's got 3 bases running, and hopefully he'll start making some extra econ, be able to supplement Cadoink, share little resources here and there, and see if we can get that econ back on the way. And as you can see, Cadoink also made another base and expanded while his first base was getting pretty much destroyed.
Yeah, very good move by me. It was that kind of staying alive strategy that you were talking about before, and now we finally do see some Banelings on the field to try to destroy these huge Marine balls that will just get crushed to Banelings, quite frankly, especially on creep. He really should be trying to pick off these creep tubes if he can, but he is running into the base to destroy NickTheGreek's expansion. Banelings are just finished, and he's going to be able to come in and attack them, and the Banelings should be able to do a huge amount of damage to SPEEDMAN's Marines, especially since there are no Marauders to tank on the field, but they are stemming away, and they're going to be able to pick off one of those Banelings, but not before killing Nick's expansion.
Yeah, that expand going down is a pretty big bummer, but you know, if the Zerg player has some extra minerals, they will be able to build that back right quick, and it won't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, and we do see a lot of Thors on the way. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage to these Mutalists. The Banelings are attacking the Thors while they should be attacking the Marines, and now there's a bunch of Marines and Thors which are very bad against, or very good against Mutalists, excuse me, and they're going to be able to take these Mutalists down extremely quickly, especially with them all stacked like that, as the Thors do incredible amounts of splash damage. We do see all the Mutalists going down, and at this point, the game's over, and so we GG.
Yeah, that was not one of our better games. We had some serious malfunctions as far as teamwork. Instead of expanding that extra time like NickTheGreek did, he should have made some more units and tried to save Cadoink space. But especially when a Terran loses his natural that early on in the game, even though it was at like 12 or 15 minutes or something like that, it can still really wreck if you haven't expanded 1 to 2 times.
Yeah, there were a lot of blunders in this game. I didn't have my tanks sieged up as they should have been. I probably wasn't macroing as hard as I could have been. I didn't deal with that Reaper harassment in the early game as well as I could have, and yeah, that attributes to the loss, and very good macro on the part of SPEEDMAN and Rafito. I think they did an excellent job macroing and dealing with that muta harassment that we had going on, which is really hard to deal with. And so I thought they played a very good game.
They also made some permanent preventions for that muta harassment. I mean, once you put down any kind of stationary defense device like a turret, there's just no way the mutas can feel safe going back at that base again.
Yeah, that's true, and then the mutas become kind of pointless as they are a huge harassment item, especially against a huge Marine Thor army like they had.
Yeah, so that's a loss. Kind of hurts. Kind of hurts to watch.
Yep, but you win some, you lose some, and it's good to learn from your losses, and as well as learn from your wins, and I hope that you guys learn from your losses as well as your wins, which, by the way, if you have some good replays, please send them to CadoinkStudios, Cadoink Replays, CadoinkReplays @gmail.com, again, CadoinkReplays.com, and we'll try to get those casted for you.
Yep, and there should be a link to that in the description, in the about section below.
Yeah, the description box below should have the email address. You can just click that or copy paste and send us your replays, and we will cast them for you. Make sure they're 2v2 or 3v3 or 4v4.
And I know that you love this video, so you should probably subscribe to the channel, and you should like the video, and you should comment and tell us the things that you liked and things maybe you didn't like, and anything else you want to tell us.
Yeah, we'd absolutely love to hear your comments, and love to hear if you enjoy the series and what we can do better to make it more enjoyable for you all.
So this has been NickTheGreek.
And Cadoink.
And this is
TeamCraft.
I'm gonna go cry about this loss now.
Oh man, no.